You've accumulate property during a marriage. Gosh, even if you don't want to, you accumulate stuff in a marriage. And when you get my age, you got more stuff in your house than you know what to do with. So the time comes where you're getting divorced, and you got to get this stuff divided up between these two people, okay? So back in the 70s, we kind of organized divorce law. Before then, it was kind of like, well, whatever the judge thinks was right, we'll do. The legislature went, and that's kind of vague. Let's work out a system. So the first thing you do is you figure out what's marital property. And the way you figure that out is by figuring out what separate property is. And you take that out of the pile. We got the big old pile of everything. And the separate property is what you had prior to the marriage or you received by gift or inheritance. That's your separate property, okay? And what your spouse received by gift or inheritance or had prior to the marriage was your spouse's separate property. You following me on that? Okay. Now, how do you get separate property during the marriage? I mean, you've been married a short period of time, right? Did you come into the marriage with a car? That's still your car, right? All right. Now, here's where you can create a problem. If you put your husband's name on that car, on the title of that car, you create a rebuttable presumption that you've given him a half interest in that car. So you're not going to put his name on the title, are you? Nor on the house if you had that prior to the marriage, are you? No. Okay. And now, here's another thing. Say y'all are married going along 10 years down the road. You've had your 2.5 children. Everything's rocking along real well. And your husband comes down one Valentine's Day and says, darling, come on downstairs. And you go out front and there's a white Mercedes with a red bow on the top, and he gives you a key and says, Happy Valentine's Day. And that, what is that car now? And it is your, what type of property? Separate. Separate property, because it's a gift, okay? Gifts often come in the form of Christmas gifts, Valentine gifts, birthday gifts, anniversary gifts, and guilt gifts. Oh gosh, I shouldn't have done what I did. Please forgive me, here's your keys, okay? Or I feel really bad about things. I'm putting the house in just your name so you'll know that if anything happens, you get everything, okay? Guilt is an important thing, watch it. Okay, so we figured out what's on everybody's separate property. Now we divide up the lump in the center. Tennessee is an equitable division state, okay? It's not community property where we put everything in one pile and then cut it 50-50 down the middle. We try to do the right thing. Okay, and there's several factors that we look at in Tennessee in trying to decide what's the right thing to divide up this marital property. One of the big things is how much separate property you get. Okay, if you're have a big old pile of separate property here, you got a little pile of marital property here, and your spouse has almost no separate property at all, then the court's going to go, well, gosh, we ought to give them a little more than half of the marital property. Okay? That sounds fair, doesn't it? Your incomes. Your spouse makes a whole bunch more money than you do. Well, if he's making a whole bunch more money than you do, especially if you've been out of the market because you've been taking care of your 2.5 children, then gosh, it seems fair for us to give you more of the marital pie than 50%, right? Okay, so we work through several of those factors: age, health, skills, ability to acquire future assets, amounts of separate property, what you brought into the marriage, tax consequences, a whole bunch of stuff, and then in the end, other factors. What the judge thinks is fair. Because that's the purpose of the system, to try to figure out what's fair to divide. Now, I've told you just a few minutes the basics of property division. These books here have many cases where they've analyzed it out. So don't think what little I've told you is all you need to know about property division. You're going to be able to answer things in your case. There's more information available for you at aboutdivorce.com. which is a website we have. But the most important thing to do is ask your lawyer, because your lawyer knows the law if you picked a good lawyer, and your lawyer can help you understand how the law fits with the facts in your particular case. So that's the overview of property division in Tennessee. Thank you.